Hold on.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, sure, I will. Why?
Mute yourself, Alex.
Welcome, everybody. Hold
You
on.
sure we're live? There we go.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the first episode of First Cut, hosted by Carmushroom2 and Dug42. I'm Carmushroom2.
And I am your co-host, Dug42.
We got a lot to unravel in from the past couple of days. First off, I'd like to talk about the two recent games, which were completely action packed and certainly did not go either way. What are your thoughts on those two games, Doug?
Yeah, those two were very different games than any of the games from the championship series. They completely did not go how we expected. We had two very tight series between the top four teams. Both were low scoring, I would say, between both teams. They were big pitching matchup. And then here you have the first two games of the World Series that are just completely one-sided blowouts.
Yeah.
How that happened, I'm not sure, but that's what we're dealing with right now.
I mean, just from the two games alone, the average victory margin in terms of runs has been 7. 7 runs. I mean, uh, it- I don't.
It's
I'm
I
not
don't
even. I'd have to go back and look at the stats, but Mac has barely even had over like 3 or 4 games alone where they had more
right.
than 7 runs in the regular season alone. That's against like teams like West Virginia and Unionport, which weren't really that big. I mean, so to try and just look at that, it's in, insane that we're in the World Series. Then the two best teams in terms of record, and this is the result that we're getting from them.
Yeah, it's very one-sided, and I'm not sure if Mac has just fixed their eyes or their sight or their batting or whatever, but they're seeing Cougar pitching and they're just slapping the heck out of that
Yeah.
ball. Like beating pitchers like Darkar and Ashlemer, that's no small feat. So
And
props to them.
yeah, and for those that are watching, just to remind you all, Game 1 was a 6-0 victory for Mac against Ash on the mound. The pitching matchup was RBC had Ash on the mound, and Mac had Squeaker
Yeah,
Raxos. In Game
that's a good
2,
matchup.
yeah, that is one of the best matchups you can have in RBC. And in
Right.
Game 2, we had Broken Elias versus AJ on the mound. Broken for RBC, AJ for Mac, and the final score there was 11-3, with Darkar for RBC getting some pitchers in after Broken was removed and Darkar was put in as the relief pitcher.
Right.
Ultimately, a
Are
crazy
both
game.
Darkar and Broken ineligible for the next game?
I I don't know if Darkar is. He came in after 1 out in the third.
Okay. So I think that would make him ineligible.
Yeah.
I
Um.
came in late to the game, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah. But to talk about these two huge games recently, I'd like to welcome on uh the team owner of Mount Adams Knights, VX Alex. He'll wake up soon, and the head coach of Mount Adams Knights, AJ 128 VG. Welcome onto the show.
Alex left. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Well, welcome onto the
Well,
show, guys. I'd like to
yeah.
congratulate you guys on these huge victories you guys recently had. Can you break down the game plan that you guys had going into it?
Yeah, what was your thought process going into the first game?
I'll talk because Alex. Okay, there you go.
Alex has a lot to say about the game. As you, the viewers, can tell, he's really, really into it.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Alex. I don't know why Karma's speaking over you. Yeah, that was very surprising. What are your thoughts, AJ?
Yeah, just with past coaching experience in the World Series, I've kind of said the same thing to players throughout all of the games that I played in the World Series. So it's, just focus on the game at hand. Don't get caught up in, oh, this is a championship game. Like, just look at it as a normal game,
Right,
and execute the basics of baseball,
right. I think there's a
and
lot to be said
we
in that
should win.
because, yeah, there's a lot to be said in that because most winning teams you look at out there, their mentality is always one game at a time, and they just focus on doing the fundamentals and getting the win in that one game. They're not looking for the future. I mean, always obviously that's in the back of their minds is winning it all, but you just gotta focus on the here and now, and I think that's a
Yeah.
good winning strategy. What is your How are you guys approaching Ashlimmer? I mean, obviously he's the best on RVC. So, what is your guys' approach to dealing with him, both pitching wise and in the outfield and his bat? AJ, you want to speak to that?
Um,
Right. Yeah. No, no doubt. I mean, he's one of the better ones out there. His bat's very exceptional. I think it's been very difficult for most pitchers in the league to read his batting style and to strike him out. Um, right.
All right. I just want to mention quickly that Alex, I just realized nothing you've said has been on the live stream because I can't pick up your audio, so therefore the stream cannot pick up your audio.
Nice.
So
Does that include AJ?
no, AJ's perfectly fine. It is purely just Alex's problem.
Oof.
Uh, we apologize to those watching. That was a problem on A- Alex's end, maybe. I'm not sure. Alex, try and say something. I'm still not picking anything up from Alex. I don't know what
Jeez,
that.
Okarm, fix your stuff.
I don't. I don't know what the problem is with that. Oh, I muted him. That's why, because he was
Oh my
doing
god, what
stuff
are you,
Oh,
before.
bro?
Because he was talking when we were going live. Uh, no, Alex AJ is perfectly fine.
And unmute me.
I did unmute you, but all right, continue with your uh comments about Ash.
But really, it's the same. We know who he is, and he knows who we are. But it's really there is really no strategy we've been using. It's just pitch to him like any other player, and make the play. As long as he's not going hitting home runs every at bat, it's all good. Like
right.
just
Well,
rely
one
on our
thing you
guys.
guys have been doing have been limiting their hits. What did
Yeah,
Granted, you guys have thrown your two best pitchers at RVC for the first two games in AJ and Squeaker. So maybe that has something to be said for it.
oh,
But
that's definitely the rotation.
right. What are your plans for the game three starter? What do you think you're gonna
uh,
start at?
you could probably guess. I'd say Squeaker, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I almost say tornado, but knowing
Or,
his
oh,
past, I don't know if I trust him there.
Tornado. I'm sorry, I love
See,
you,
the
man,
issue
but
with Tornado is when we pitched him against RBC earlier in the season, he let up a lot.
Yeah,
I
Um,
took him deep.
yeah.
oh,
One thing I'd like to ask is, so over these past two games, we've really seen, well, I mean, just to give some context, a lot of prior championships and teams that do well are very reliant on, like one or two main players, with the exception of Omaha in prior seasons. And this season, AJ, who was the former leader of Omaha, brings his talents over to Mount Adams Knights, and I'm curious about how you guys have managed to build such a consistent group around your two main players, that being you guys is AJ and Alex, and how you guys have managed to eliminate that background support for Ash from RVC.
Oh, AJ, go. You have any opinions on the matter? Or?
Well, I think yeah, we have, but at the same time, there's some new players.
I mean,
But I
like,
think my what?
how have you guys managed to keep the consistency among your players? Like Tornado, for example, he's really come up big in these postseason games, and also being able to eliminate the skill set of the players on RVC that have been really supportive of Ash and giving a lot of contribution to RVC.
Yeah, I think for Mac wise, we kind of use the same coaching strategies that I used at Omaha, and then with RVC, um, we're doing to limit their abilities. I don't know if it's us or if it's them. Um, Hopefully it's us because that means we're playing really good. Yeah.
It's been really the same things that we've carried over from Omaha, and it's just been, there is no special way besides to just play the game and play it as a team.
Got it. And you got these two big games behind you. I know you guys already said that your focus is just to focus on each game at a time, but do you think these past two games have really uh bolstered your guys' momentum going into game three, or are you guys gonna um disregard those other games and simply uh go from 0-0?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I mean, it certainly helps us, but you have to always know that you're always playing. Anybody can win, so you of course always have to play from 0-0. But it's definitely in the back of our minds when we play that we know we can beat these guys, but we also know very well that they could beat us.
All right, uh, thank you guys so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time. You guys really managed to help us and the viewers understand how Mac has developed their game plan and how they are approaching each game. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming on today.
All
Yeah,
right,
no
thank you
problem.
guys.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to the next topic, guys. Uh, we are going to be predicting the next upcoming games. So as you can see, we have our live stream infographic. Hopefully that's gonna pop up.
One would hope. um,
It has no, it's not popping up. So I think
verbally
we're just gonna
just
have
say
to
it.
fill it in as we go.
Yeah.
But essentially, the
Oh, there it
mainstream.
is. It popped up.
Oh, it came up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
So for game three, Doug, who are you gonna have to take for that?
Well, I'm personally gonna give the Cougars the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna say they're gonna come back and win a close game. Um, I think they're gonna have realized their flaws from the first two games and maybe take a few lessons out of it, learn from it, come back, focus, and then take game one or game three at Crosby. I don't know what your thoughts on it, but
Uh,
we'll see
I'm
what the game plan is.
I'm with you on that. I'm gonna have to give this one to RVC because RVC is an adaptive team. You know, they were able to hold the regular season series against Mac at 2 wins for each side, evenly splitting their series with them. And I think Ash is a player that, even though he had these rough patches in games one and two, I think he's going to be able to bring it on in game three. But Mac has also provided a really strong counter to their game plan. I think so. I'm gonna give RBC the benefit of the doubt too, but in
Right.
the end, I'm just gonna go ahead here, and I
Sure.
think Mac's gonna win it in five. I got them winning the next two, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would almost say give RVC game 4, but with the way it's looked so far, and this is just complete speculation, I think Mac would win game 4, and then game 5 is um back at Rock Valley. But the way that Mac's been playing at Rock Valley, I think it's gonna be Mac in 5 as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end
I
of the
mean, all that could change within the next 2 games because no game is like a cakewalk. Every game counts, so it could all change. But this is just based on how it's looking so far.
For sure, and I agree with you. Every game is a new game, but at the end of the day, RBC or Mac has shown that they have a lot more ability to keep their consistency with their supportive cast, while RBC, even though they do have a great supportive cast, uh, this World Series has really shown that it has not been a consistent cast, especially in times when they need it most, that being right now.
Right.
Um, uh, and with that, we're going to move on to the next topic. Fans, those who are watching the stream, this is going to be our fan hot take moments. If you wish to provide a hot take, simply just DM me and we'll add you to the call and you can present your hot take to the stream. You can explain your hot take and then the fans, the chat, will be able to vote on what hot take you believe is true, if you support the hot take or not. So, if you wish to join, you can simply just DM me and I will add you. Alright, first up, our first fan hot take is coming all the
Of
way
course.
from JS. JS will be doing a hot take. JS, let's hear it. JS
Well, he
is
says he's in, but
Well,
apolog.
me dumb,
Oh,
me
there
dumb
we
dumb.
go.
I forgot to unmute my mic.
all right. Let's hear
Typical
this hot
streamer.
take, guy.
So wait, can I is it like a question that I can ask?
It's simply just a hot take that you want to present, and the chat will decide if
All right.
it is
So
good or
one thing
bad.
I want to say is how you both are saying that RVC is going to win Game 3, comparing how RVC will probably pitch Ash again, and how Mac's shown that we understand how to hit against Ash, really makes me like want to change it around. Unless RVC's figure something out again to stop Squeaker and stuff, which is doubtful because Squeak always changes his stuff up.
Well,
But
to your point, I would say this: it's a 7 game series, so anything can happen in any of the games, and these players are going to be seeing each other a lot. So Ashburn, he's definitely one of the better pitchers out there. So he could
we
easily
literally
adjust
didn't even
from
let him
this game
hit a
from Ball.
single. The thing is, we're
Possibly,
letting.
I'm saying his pitching he could take lessons from game 1 and then adjust and maybe shut you guys down in game 2. Who knows? But I would not count him out for game 3.
Comparing how they've only scored a run against us in both games really makes me feel that I don't understand how they can get a good enough jump to win Game 3. I mean, unless like all I know is Ash hasn't been practicing; he's been busy playing Minecraft. So I mean, I don't get where they can improve unless like one of them's been practicing. I know me and Squeaker have been practicing even more. Um, Also, one thing that it is we're gonna be at home this time. Totally forgot about that because I was
Right.
thinking it was three. It was three at base. I thought it was three at Bayside, one at, and then it switches over. And everyone who's in the chat, Coastal Airlines flight at 10. I can't remember, but it's just it all depends on who's at the game at first. We beat almost the entire RVC roster. Where we're playing, what the order is,
Right.
and it's really like you can't just like I'm only saying it because I have a feeling about it. I don't have like I'm not like a Jedi. I can tell, but
Right.
I just have a feeling that Game 3 might go to Mac.
I mean, it could go either way. I'm just not gonna count the Cougars out because they're definitely
I mean,
a
neither am I,
team.
but I'm just saying.
Like you said, I'm very puffed up and confident there, which is right based on your first 2 wins. But I would get overconfident.
Uh,
I'm not getting overconfident. I'm literally gonna treat it like it's a. One thing is I literally remember in season 6 when Charlotte won the first 2 games and then choked the rest of the series.
Right?
One thing that messed me up so bad is thinking the World Series is a completely different place. It's not. It
No, it's
literally,
just another
like,
game. It's just
yeah, it changed my mindset so much and it stressed me out. For some reason, I don't know if, like, all of a sudden I'm having a really good postseason. Like, it's one thing,
uh,
but
JS, I want to ask you quickly. So,
yeah.
for those who don't know, I'm sure the majority of the people watching know is that you and Ash are brothers in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if when you guys are home, if there's like kind of that competition mentality when you guys are home and like in real life, or how does life translate, or how does the game translate to your typical day-to-day life with him?
I mean, honestly, I don't ever see him like outside of his room because he's a caveman. No, but one thing is we talk about like we just talk about like we don't talk we don't talk about like what we like. It's not like an actual competition. Like, I hate you if you win the World Series or anything of that. He's my brother. He'll always be my brother. It's just the thing is we don't ever like have like a full blown argument in person about our like the World Series because I honestly like I'm trying not to get him in. I don't want him in my head because if he gets in my head, I will suck in the World Series, and I do not need that to happen. But if trash talk happens and he screws me up, I'll just go into his room and yell at him, and I can't get suspended because it's my house. So, but yeah.
Well,
Well, no, you did say when I asked him because he was like,
I know. I'm kidding.
He was he was like torn. I go, if you go come into my room, I swear. And I literally you, I'm like, can I get
Right.
suspended for hitting him? And you're like, it's your house. I can't control that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Right.
so
I
I
just
mean,
can't own it. But
All right,
yeah,
thank you
thank you
so.
for those comments.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Chat, let us know.
thanks for
Is
having me.
is uh hold on. Is RVC or Mac gonna sweep? Is Mac gonna sweep? Yes or no?
Um,
No, JS.
This is for the public.
Yeah, this is for the public. Fans, let us know what you think. All right. We have
Well, they think.
a hot take coming from Squeaker. I'm gonna add him. Don't worry, it's not World Series. It is not World Series related. It is not World Series related. I can assure you.
You know.
All right, fine. You know what? Honestly, we're cutting it close on time anyway, so we do need to move to the next section. All right, next, uh, our next section of the show is just talking about real life sports, and for this, I'd like to welcome back AJ128 VG, who's going to be talking about the NFL. Take us away, AJ.
Right. So I've prepared a. I wanted to compare the Dwayne, not Dwayne. Who am I talking about? DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals trade, compared to Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills. Um, so I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the trade.
From my perspective, it was a uh, complete, uh, complete waste of DeAndre Hopkins for
Yeah.
the Texans because they got essentially nothing out of that. They got David Johnson, who is literally a twig at this point, and it's like a second round draft pick. But DeAndre Hopkins is a first round draft pick. I mean, the way he's been playing so far, he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. And in my opinion, the second round draft pick doesn't always end up as a Hall of Famer. They could, but like he's worth that first round draft, because let's say the what year's the draft pick anyway? 2021.
It is a 2020. It's running. It's David Johnson, 2020 second round pick, and a 2021 fourth round pick.
All right,
DeAndre Hopkins and a fourth round pick.
exactly. Like let's say, I mean, I doubt the Cardinals are going to do complete trash with Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kyler Murray. But let's say that they do have another atrocious season. Like then the Texans are really getting their value out of this trade, because they're gonna have like a top 10 pick if the Cardinals don't do well next year, for example, and that's when it really becomes worth the trade
It's kind of hard to tell because the Texans have a quarterback who's already established himself in the league for the most part.
for sure.
And he still has some decent wide receivers, and that backfield does look pretty good. It has Lamar Millard, it has David Johnson out, it has Carlos Hyde. But I really do think that the DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Kyler Murray trio sounds like it could probably do pretty good with Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach. Like right now, I would probably say I think the Cardinals win that trade. I think it was a terrible trade for the Texans.
Oh yeah, the Cardinals
Um,
100% won that. I mean, here's the thing: is that the Texans don't need a running back. It's that what they need is receivers, because Deshaun Watson, like you already said, he's established himself as a top tier type of player, and he needs top tier receivers around him. And I have to did Will Fuller's still with the Texans, right?
and so is who is it? There's someone else there too.
All right. Regardless, like Will Fuller is no DeAndre Hopkins. Kenny Stills, no DeAndre Hopkins. Randall Cobb, he's not DeAndre Hopkins. These guys are not going to be able to match up to that level of DeAndre Hopkins. Will Fuller, is young. He's 25. He's probably going to have breakout season, if you will, this upcoming season. But uh, he still has so much more to prove. But he's not a player that's going to be able to match that same expectation that DeAndre Hopkins had. It was an awful trade.
And I mean, you also have to look at it like the Cardinals too. They're getting they already have Andy Isabella as a wide receiver who did really well, I think, in his first season, and now he'll be playing the role of wide receiver number 3. So Kyler Murray all of a sudden has a lot of talent around him. I think it will be hard for him to not succeed. But then comparing that to the Stephon Diggs trade for the Vikings, there was no players involved other than Stephon Diggs. It was Stephon Diggs, a seventh round pick, a first, fifth, and sixth round pick for this year, and a fourth round pick for next year. So I think that for the Vikings, that's probably a better pick because it clears up cap space, and for the Bills, I mean that gives Josh Allen a huge target. Plus, they already have John Brown.
Brown. They got John Brown, Cole Beasley, and then in the running back position they got Devin Singletary. And honestly, the Bills are looking like a very much contending team. Josh Allen had a
they're definitely capitalizing on this.
Yeah, like Josh Allen had a very solid season last year. 3,089 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions in his sophomore season.
Yeah.
And that's not even to mention that he now has more talent around him. And in my opinion, I really think he's gonna have a big year. Which is
I think the Bills also they're really, I mean, they see the AFC East now, and I think the Patriots might still give them a good shot, but other than that, the Dolphins have signed some players, but the Bills really look like the front runner
Yeah.
now in the AFC East. So
Uh, and then what's the Tom Brady to the Buccaneers.
yeah, hey, Drew Brees, Tom Brady twice a year, maybe more.
Uh,
Gonna be a good matchup.
Here's the thing: is that I feel like the Tom Brady signing, I'm kind of bent on how I feel about it because uh, Tom Brady's going to be 43 for the season, and yeah, he does have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but Tom Brady's numbers fell off a little bit in 2019, and he's going to a new team, but where yes, he has some more talent on the wide receiving end. The Buccaneers are a less developed team as a whole, and
Yeah, but
he's
they
pat.
do.
I feel like Tom Brady is past the point where he's able to just jump in at any point in the game and just completely change the tide. I don't think that's who he is anymore.
Because that even showed like this last season with the Patriots. I mean, he had some pretty pretty. I mean, they're not that good wide receivers around him. Don't want to say they're bad, but they're not the best. Like he was missing Julian Edelman. That was his number one target. And of course, Rob Gronkowski leaving that kind of hurt. So they were really thin on their skill player positions.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. For the sake of time, I would just want to move on to the NBA quickly. Regarding the NBA, I'd like to point out to everybody, uh, Kevin Durant has been confirmed with the coronavirus along with four other players on the Brooklyn Nets. Test results are currently coming back for other teams. We are unsure yet. Do we expect that to increase? Uh, Not much else to say about the NBA, but the topic of the coronavirus itself makes me want to transition over to the real world section of our broadcast. Um, First off, I'd like to say it's important that everybody is washing their hands, taking care of themselves, practicing social distancing. If you don't know what that is, be sure to look it up. Social distancing. It is important that we are practicing that in these times because even though a lot of us are young and our immune systems are strong, we can still contract it and be a carrier of it. And if you go and see your grandmother, for example, or you go see someone who has a compromised immune system, they are just as susceptible to uh, gaining the disease from you as if they were just walking out on the town. I'd also like to talk about I don't think you guys follow the stock market, but that is essentially the U.S. economy. Um, and I personally do. I'm invested in the stock market, and it's something that a lot of your parents probably haven't talked to you about. They may not even be invested in it. But I'd like to address what happened recently, yesterday to be precise, and that was the stock market. Uh, 15 seconds after it opened at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, all trading stopped. And you're probably saying, well, what does that mean? Like, I don't really care about that. Well, the stock market will stop trading. The market will stop all trading if it drops too many points. If it is decreasing in value at such a drastic rate so quickly, then all trading will be stopped in order to be like the stock market will essentially be telling the investors like, hey, you're freaking out about the market too much. Let's just take a second, step back, and let's calm down and let the market rebound a little bit. Let's try and do something. Let's not let it crash here. It happened 10 seconds into when the market first opened. And usually when the stock market closes, it's late in the day. The market will close at 4, and usually this kind of stuff will be happening after like noon, for example. The fact that it happened right when it opened shows you how big the impact of the coronavirus is on the market right now. And then right after it reopened, it was, you can't see my fingers right now, but it was like an inch away from closing again after 20 seconds this time. And when you have that, it's the market has really not been doing well at all whatsoever. And I want you guys to know right now that even though I'm saying that the market is doing awful, I highly suggest you guys talking to your parents and seeing what you can do to try and get involved in it a little bit, because right now the way that the market is like, if you've ever gone to Walmart and seen like a 25-30% off sale at Walmart, this is the exact same thing. For example, um, Exxon Oil, I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen their gas stations in America and maybe gotten gas from there. Their stock during a normal market is around like $70 to $100. Right now, with this whole coronavirus problem, their stock is around $30. So if you bought one stock of Exxon, and when the market returns to normal, you just made $40 per stock. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. This section that we close off our show with, which is this one, I really want it to be a section where I can take some of my knowledge from my own real life, because I feel that I have knowledge that I can help, that I can use to help increase all of your knowledge, because I know a lot of you guys are young, so there are things that you guys have to learn, and I want to help teach you guys about this world that we live in so that you can do something with it and make an impact earlier in your life rather than waiting before it's too late. And on that note, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Uh, I'm I'm very happy with how our first show went. And to answer Bag's question quickly, if you want to invest, I recommend Robinhood. It is a very simple way to understand trading, but I personally use E-Trade. You can use Fidelity. Again, Robinhood is the best one for new investors. But I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have you. And we'll be live again Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of the night. Stay safe. Wash your hands. And I will see you guys back here Saturday. This is Carmushroom2 signing off.